The thing about rights is that you are not supposed to vote on them. That's why they're called rights. And when you do put rights up for a vote, when you put minority rights up for a vote, the majority tends to vote against them. On the issue of marriage equality, those rights have been put up to a statewide vote 34 times in the last 15 years, and they have lost 33 out of 34 times. The one time gay rights didn't lose at the ballot box was one year in Arizona. Arizona voted on it again 2 years later, and it lost. The state banned same-sex marriage in the second vote. So there is no state in the union, none, liberal, conservative, in between, no state in which marriage rights have been upheld in a vote. Minority rights do not fare well at the ballot box. But something kind of amazing has just happened in the great state of Maryland. In Maryland, the state legislature there passed same-sex marriage rights, giving gay couples the legal right to get married starting on January 1st of next year. But before that can happen, opponents to the new law are expected to gather enough signatures to get a referendum on the law put on the ballot in November. And remember, that's not good news if you support marriage equality, because no state has ever said yes to same-sex marriage at the ballot box. Well, shortly after Maryland's governor signed this law in early March, PPP did a poll in the state to see whether people would vote for or against the marriage law if it does go to a referendum. And the results were actually pretty good for marriage equality supporters. A majority of people in Maryland supported the law. Same-sex marriage rights were ahead by 8 points. That was in March. They just redid that same poll a few days ago. And all of a sudden in Maryland, wow, something has happened. Now same-sex marriage rights are winning not by 8 points in Maryland, but by 20 points. That is a 12-point swing. What happened? Here's what happened. One large and very influential voting bloc in the state of Maryland, a bloc that makes up nearly 30% of the population in that state, over the course of the last 2 months, went through a massive transformation on this issue. African-American voters in Maryland just a couple of months ago in that first poll in March were against same-sex marriage rights in their state by 17 points. Now they are for same-sex marriage rights by 19 points. Same poll. That is a 36-point swing in 2 months. Nothing swings 36 points in 2 months in American public opinion. Nothing. This just does not happen.
For me personally, it is important for me to go ahead and affirm that I think same-sex couples should be able to get married.
When the president came out for marriage equality, everybody knew that it was important and it was historic, but nobody really knew what its practical effect was going to be. That is part of what made it important, that he made this pronouncement without any political certainty about what would happen as a result. That is part of why it was a big deal. Now we are starting to find out what the result was of that pronouncement. It's not just counting up who agreed with him already and who disagreed with him already and how this is going to change their opinion or their likelihood to vote. He is changing people's minds. What this means for the country yet, we do not know. But in the state of Maryland, we can count overtly how much of a quantitative difference that decision by the president has just made.